All right, we'll call the May 14th council meeting to order. Deputy Chief Martin, would you give the invocation, please?
Heavenly Father, as we gather here tonight, we thank you for our health and our ability to be here. We know there's much work to do in our community right now, Father. I ask you to examine our hearts and fill us with wisdom so the result of our efforts will bring glory to you and you alone. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Chief Hawkins, will you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk will call the roll.
Taylor.
Present.
Peterson.
Present.
Lease. Present. Heckmaster.
Present.
Edge.
Present.
Snow.
Here.
Barlow.
Here.
Cossey. Here. Schramm.
Present.
Move on to reading and consideration of minutes of the previous meeting.
I make a motion we approve the minutes as presented in our packet.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion?
Which meeting are you talking about? There were two that we needed to approve, I
There was
believe, the
Friday the
29th.
29th and the 10th.
Yes, on the 29th, at the very end of the meeting, it says that the meeting was adjourned in the minutes, and it was not adjourned properly. So we need to change that to the meeting was left open.
Does that need to be seconded?
Pardon?
Does that need to be seconded?
If you're gonna amend the minutes, yeah, you would need to make
Okay,
a
I second that.
I have a motion and a second to amend the minutes on the 29th as discussed. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now, anything further?
I would like to make sure, it looked like there was something that was omitted from the minutes of that same meeting. When we were talking about the ability to hire an outside attorney, there's a statement that said Ms. Cossey made a motion, seconded by Mr. Peterson, to put out an RFP to advertise for independent municipal law firm. Prior to that, I would like to have a note made that Mr. Dagnan had said that the city could not hire a third party legal representative without an RFP per the purchasing policy. That is not in the minutes, but it should be.
Second.
Motion and a second to amend the minutes from April 29th as outlined, and I hope you can get Miranda a written so that we don't. All right.
Is it recording?
It's recorded.
Oh, okay.
So it's recording, the sound's recording to the stream. It's not getting, we're not getting those.
Not getting over to speak. Okay. So does everybody just need to speak up a little? All right. It's a little trouble with the audio. So if as you're speaking, would please speak up a little bit. It's being recorded. It's just not getting through to the speakers. So all right. So I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, so I've got a motion and a second to accept the minutes. Do you want to make an amendment as amended, Mr. Snow?
I shouldn't have to make another motion.
All right.
It'd just be as
So
amended.
got a motion and a second to accept the minutes as amended. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to presentation proclamations. We did do an emergency proclamation for the storm damage in your packet. All right.
So, Your Honor,
Yeah.
I'm not familiar on the state of emergency. I know we declared the state of emergency due to the storm last week. How long does this state of emergency last, or is there an end to the state of emergency? Just,
Be honest with you, there's not an end on it. I would think when the storm damage is cleaned up and taken care of, it's not gonna go past that end of that storm damage. So and honestly, it's hard to tell how long that will take. There's lots of trees.
We're hoping to keep it open until the governor declares maybe a state of emergency in Jasper County to match ours. We're hoping to keep it open at least that long.
thank you.
All right. Move on to public comments. Anyone wishing to address the council, step to the podium, state your name and address and your business. Please keep it to 5 minutes.
My name is Regina Shank, and I live at 510 Bel Air Place in Carthage. And I have a ministry called Global Transformation International. We have missionaries across the earth, and we minister to people who've had traumas and contention and strife, and we do what we can to bring peace to their families. And I wanted to make a decree tonight. I speak peace to every situation of turbulence and confusion that's trying to overwhelm our city. This is 1 Corinthians 13, starting with verse 4. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. It's not puffed up. It does not behave rudely. It does not seek its own. It's not provoked. It thinks no evil. It does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. But whether there are prophecies, they'll fail. Tongues, they will cease. We know in part and we prophesy in part. But when the perfect is come, then that which is in part will be done away. And so, Lord, we just say tonight, there remaineth hope and faith and love, these three, but the greatest of these is love. I love my city. And I pray we come into peace and accord, one with another, and we walk in forgiveness of one another. I believe Jesus Christ is Lord over the city of Carthage, Missouri. And that will not be damaged nor removed as long as we pray and we stand together for God's purposes in this city. Yes. So, I love you all, and I pray that we come to reconciliation in our differences. And I've been here a long time, and I highly respect many of you. And I know you'll make the right decisions, but contention and strife is not the answer. So, I had my say. Thank you for allowing me the mic.
My name is Jackie Booyer. I live at 1184 South Main Street here in the city, and I'm the president of the Kellogg Lake Board. And I'm here to talk about Kellogg Lake and the fact that it needs more work to make it ready for the Kids Fishing Day on June the 8th. We are very appreciative of the park departments out there cutting down the trees that are on the dam and other areas, but other work needs to be done at that park as well as every venue in this city. And I'm sure if you talk to whoever is interested in a park, they have some event that they have planned for that area that they need it cleaned up now. So work is going to go forward on the park of the city, the street department, the park department, and volunteers. I had a volunteer group that contacted me, and I called Abby to see about getting them into the park because it is locked. And she required me to have them sign in at the park department. And I don't recall seeing anybody at Central Park that had to sign in any place in order to be a volunteer. Also, I saw a lot of people at the golf course volunteering in other areas in the city. So I don't know exactly why my group was pointed out. Also, I had two groups that were part of that volunteer effort, and I shared both of those contact informations with Abby and asked her to please keep me in touch with what decisions were made to use them. I talked to one of them this morning and was informed that one of the groups was asked to, instead of working at Kellogg Lake, to take on either the golf course or private residences. They are no longer volunteering. Whatever our relationship is with the park department, Kellogg Lake Kids Fishing Day is a 24-year community event that is monetarily supported by almost every major business or small business in this town. And the people that work at those places are the volunteers that come out and make it possible. We appreciate what they have been doing for 24 years. This park and the activity that we sponsor there, along with the Department of Conservation, is a benefit for the citizens of Carthage. So I hope that we get past our differences with the park department and move forward with making that park a better place and a more convenient place for our children to come and play, because we do have a beautiful playground there now. And then on another issue, we have an administrator that has taken on the responsibility of a manager and a mayor who does not approve or use the charter. I think the mayor's only function at this point in this community is protecting the administrator. Does the community notice what is going on? We have an assistant administrator, an administrator, a park department, visitors and CVB, vision, maybe, CWNEP, tried. Were resumes solicited for any of these positions? I've never seen any of them produced. Have you? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I would just like to ask something before I get started here. Could I have the same courtesy you gave to Mr. Putman that night that said his might go over a minute and a half over or something like that? So
Okay.
I wasn't going to read this the way this meeting started out, but then toward the end of the last speaker, it started getting the same way it's always going to be. So,
Hey,
Mr.
Bill.
Mayor, my name is Bill
Bill.
Shear.
Oh, sorry, never mind.
I live at 422 East 13th Street. Mr. Mayor, it appears to me our new council and even some of the veteran members could use a refresher course of the separation of powers of the three branches of government we learned in grade school, and how it's supposed to work, since we now have at least two council members that think they can both be council member and mayor and want to change all rules. I commend you for your patience lately. These meetings have become like trying to herd a bunch of cats. My question, why do we have a city code of ethics for elected office officials if they're not going to be enforced? I was at the Friday special meeting, and a certain council member violated at least 3 of these city codes. Declaration of policy. The public judges its government by the way the members of the city council, the mayor, and its appointed officials conduct themselves in the post to which they are elected. The public has a right to expect that each such officer conduct will tend to preserve public confidence and respect for the government of the city of Carthage. It is important that the mayor, each member of the city council, and the appointed officials of the city of Carthage will uniformly Number one, treat all citizens with courtesy, impartiality, fairness, and equality under the law. And number two, avoid both actual and potential conflict between their private self-interest and the public interest. Certain members of this council cannot even treat our mayor or administration and other county council members with respect, let alone the public and the majority of the public. We have all seen the personal interest from this council member and are fed up with their actions and disrespect for authority. If Mr. Blanchard saw the last meeting on Friday and is still willing to take this council on, it will really surprise me. I know him personally. He's a man of integrity and will not put up with this nonsense. Section 2-528, prohibition of interference. No member of the council of the city of Carthage shall direct or request the employment or removal of persons from employment by the city administrator or the mayor, or by any department head of the city, or in any way interfere with the appointment or removal of officers and employees of various departments of the city, except for the purpose of inquiry. All members of the council shall deal with the administrative offices and services of the city solely through the mayor and the city administrator of the city of Carthage. And no member of the council shall give orders to any employee of the city of Carthage, either publicly or privately. So Friday, when this council member asked our chief of police to remove our city administrator in a public meeting, that member had overstepped her authority. According to this code, and should be either that member should be either censured, suspended, or removed from office as stated in the code. Section 2-531, sections or sanction violations of any provision of this code of ethics should raise significant questions for the mayor or the council person or appointed official concerned as to whether their voluntary resignation or other course of action is indicated to promote the best interest of the city of Carthage. Violations may constitute cause for censure, suspension, or removal from office. In the declaration of policy, the public judges its government by the way the members of this city council and the mayor in its appointed office conduct themselves in the post. Okay, let's see. It is no secret there are at least 4 council members who are getting the orders from a few so-called elites that have always had to have their way and control most trusts and boards in the city of Carthage. They're not used to being told no to something they want. That's why we now have what's called the CCU. The council is killing the morale and the trust of our city employees. I have personally talked to a lot of them. They hate what this council has become, and they fear for their own jobs under the rule of this council. This council has not accomplished anything in over a month. How hard can it be to make a decision on Lime scooters and the definition of and also they don't need an assistant city attorney when we have no city attorney to assist. You are all becoming an embarrassment to this great city. We only have 2 council members that really have the best interest of this city as their agenda. The rest are just doing what they are told to by the CCU who got them elected. Oh, I almost forgot. Our city administrator is still an employee of the city. And a certain member keeps telling me he's not. And I watched the Budget Means Committee on YouTube last night, and Mr. Dagnan was here, and that meeting was conducted the way a meeting should be conducted. They asked him questions, he gave them answers. I didn't hear one person tell Mr. Dagnan, we don't want to hear from you because you're not a city employee. And if you know how stupid that sounds, I mean, KSN even put it on their page saying it's just crazy. Okay, you were the ones selected. not them. So quit doing their agenda and, you know, get back to the business of our city. Something else, you know, if you don't want to do that, quit coming here 2 Tuesdays a month and let somebody take your seat that loves the city. Thank you.
Good evening, Your Honor, Mr. Dagnan, members of the council. My name is TJ Teed, 615 Airport Drive. Your Honor, I rise today with a heavy heart. Over the last several weeks, I have watched as this council has repeatedly disregarded policy and procedures, violated city charter, mislead the citizens of Carthage, and they have set out an agenda for a vicious manhunt. This council has quickly tarnished the reputation that our city once had. We have always been looked at with dignity and with respect, but now we are a laughingstock within the 4-state area. Every council meeting is creating negative press of our city. As a former council member of this body, I served for 2 terms with some of the greatest people to ever hold office in this city. I learned from 2 amazing mayors. I had council members like Diane Sherritts, Keith Hurlbut, John Studebaker, Claude Newport, Kirby Newport, Lee Carlson, Bill Welch, and I can list many more. Your Honor, I also had the pleasure of serving with you for 4 years. During my time on council, we got business done. We served with the city in honor and treated each other with respect, even if we disagreed with one another. We would never do the crap that you guys are doing right now. This chamber is sacred to me, and I know for all the men and women who have served before you and sat in the chairs that you currently occupy. If you look around the room, the walls bear the photos of the mayors who have served with great pride and devotion to the city in which they loved, and you are dishonoring each and every one of them. Week after week, this council is tarnishing the legacy of our beautiful city that each mayor and council member who served before you worked so hard to preserve. I have taken the time to speak with our department heads and many of our city employees, one by one. Each of them are saddened by the disgrace and tastelessness act of each one of you are conducting. Carthage currently has 118 employees. Out of the 118, over 100 employees signed letters which was presented to this council fully supporting Mayor Rife and Mr. Dagnan. To this date, this council has ignored the employees who work hard for our city and have asked you to stop the insane attempt for a power grab. Let me remind each one of you sitting in these chairs one thing. You work for the citizens of Carthage, not yourself and your woke agenda. I can promise you one thing. A mass exodus of employees will be coming if you proceed with this agenda of removing Mr. Dagnan and Mayor Rife. There are several employees that already have their resignation letters written and ready to submit. Now, if this happens, who's going to replace them? How is the city going to operate? Over 90% of our employees signed these agreements. If you follow through and remove Mr. Dagnan, no one's going to want to serve in his position. You've made us a laughingstock. And we are honored that he is still sitting in that chair today. Any new member that comes on is going to be afraid of a tyrant council, which is what you guys exactly are. and the employees are absolutely afraid of you. While you may have a few handful of people that are supporting you, you do not have the majority of the city, and you never will. We, the citizens of Carthage, stand with Mayor Reif. We stand with Mr. Dagnan. We stand with each department head and all city employees. Ms. Cossey, over the last month, you alone have bullied and manipulated your way through council meetings. You have belittled the mayor, Mr. Dagnan, city staff, and have repeatedly broke policy and procedures, while also violating the city charter and sunshine law. You speak over others. You ignore advice and are given that you are given and are rude to those that you speak with. Our local news stations have stated as much and have now expressed your agenda to the entire four-state area. Ms. Cossey, you're an absolute embarrassment to the city of Carthage. And with the office that you hold.
TJ.
Okay, got it. One more minute.
Well, I gave the last one a minute, so.
Because of your actions and continuously verbally and attacking the mayor, city administrator, and city staff on numerous occasions, we, the citizens of Carthage, are asking for your immediate resignation before this meeting concludes. The majority of Ward 5 and the city of Carthage no longer support you. Ms. Schramm, over the past month, you have assisted Ms. Cossey by bullying your way through council meetings, belittling city staff and the administration as well. It is evident that you have had an agenda in place and you continue to try to bend the rules to suit what you want. You claim that everyone knew your intentions when you ran for this office. However, you only spoke of transparency and no campaign material listed this agenda than what you are doing now. You have lied to your constituents and you are hoping to destroy this chamber. As citizens of the city of Carthage, we are also asking you, Ms. Schramm, for your resignation before the end of this council meeting. You are an embarrassment to the city and the office in which you hold. Council members, I ask that you do the right thing. Stop this fight. Be the bigger person. Work across the aisle and vote no and table discussions if needed on hiring additional law firms and stop this mess. Thank you, Your Honor. I yield the floor to the next
My name is Julie Miner, and I live east of Carthage on 96 Highway. Back in January, I was brought into this wonderful circus of the city council meetings by a wonderful Facebook group by means of a lovely accident that happened over behind Roscoe's Bar and Grill on a parking lot that is owned by the city council, or by the Carthage City, where Mr. Peterson backed into my truck. He didn't know he backed into it until he saw the video. That's neither here nor there. We were brought into it by accident. We didn't ask to be brought into it. I could care less what goes on in these meetings. I live out in the country. I'm one of two groups that make up Carthage citizens. There's the townies and there's the counties. I'm one of the counties. Okay, I work in the city. I pay taxes, some of the taxes. I don't get a vote on who sits on this council. But what I do expect is, for the sake of my children that live in this town and everybody else's children that live in this town, is for you guys to do what needs to be done to run this city and make it right. And obviously, it's not being done. Somehow, y'all got these seats because people voted you in. So whether it was you guys that got voted in or you guys that voted in, people obviously thought you deserved these seats. You're here for a reason. So figure it out and make it work. What I don't like is being brought into a situation that had nothing to do with us in the long scheme of things with Mr. Peterson. It was an accident that could have been handled with the simple switch of insurance cards. Because he did not know that he hit our vehicle, it was drawn out into a long situation that did not need to happen. We were told an investigation couldn't happen unless we pressed charges. Whether or not that was true, the officer that came and responded told us that. So we did press charges. We were also told by that officer that it was a private parking lot and he could not do anything about that. Come to find out, it's owned by the city, so therefore he could have done something about it. Instead of making us press charges in order to get the investigation rolling. We didn't find out who owned the vehicle for a very long time, until it was put out on Facebook. Now, all we wanted was to get our truck fixed, and it would have been done. But this Facebook group decided to say that we were in cahoots with the police department, trying to set up Mr. Peterson and make it look like some big gigantic scheme by saying that council members were talking mad trash about us and the police department, which was absolutely not true, on your private Facebook account. Well, I'm a big fat investigator when it comes to things like that, and when my name's put out there, and I'll look and I will find whatever it takes to see if you guys are talking trash about me and mine. It wasn't true. That Facebook group knows I caught him in a lie. Whatever. Be a grown up. Don't lie. Just to get your jollies off. It's not funny. You guys brought us into it. It's not a joke when you mess with people's private lives. It's also not a joke to try to draw us in to make whatever agenda you guys may have with Mr. Peterson to make whatever charges you want to stick to go even farther. We have no part of that. We are not no part of that. We will never be a part of that. We do not intend to be a part of that. So I am asking you guys to just leave us alone. I do not want any more comments. I don't want any more being brought into anything. I just want our city council to do their job. Get along, do what you need to do. And if there's shady business going on, figure it out. Get rid of who needs to be gotten rid of. Put new people in there. It's called voting. And obviously the votes were done, and obviously people that they get voted for are sitting in the seats where they need to be sitting. And the ones that aren't. The ones that resigned. There's reasons for those resignations. What happens behind these closed doors of the city happens. We, as the citizens, are not here to see what happens. We're not. Only you guys are. So we can speculate and we can assume, but the ones that are sitting behind those doors are the ones that really knows what happens. Maybe there's a puppet master. Maybe he's pulling all the strings. Maybe he has a bunch of information on everybody, and that's why everybody's scared to talk. Maybe not. But you never know until you get them gone. You never know until the truth comes out, and eventually that truth is going to come out. But your town is only as good as the leader. And if the leader doesn't do what the leader needs to do, then the people who follow the leader is not going to do their job either. Thank you for listening to me, Mr. Mayor. With all due respect, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Seeing nobody else, we'll move on to report of standing committees. Budget, Ways and Means, Chairman Snow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Budget Ways and Means Committee met last night at here in council chambers, and we heard the first requests of the budget requests for all city departments and City Hall. So what we heard last night were requests. There was nothing approved. That will take place when we do the budget perfection at our next budget meeting. That will be then forwarded to council, and then council will hear 2 readings. So the budget that we heard last night, we did see a balanced budget, but that budget could still change because no decisions were made last night. We also heard last night that the sales tax for last month for the general fund was up. Our use tax was up again. The marijuana tax was up last month over the previous month, but down from earlier months. Tonight on the agenda, we have Resolution 2041, which is a budget adjustment. We had one of our police cars that was damaged in an accident. Insurance paid for part of it, but it didn't pay for all of it. So Resolution 2041 will be to replace that police car, and the budget adjustment will be to pay for the difference in that car. Also, we heard last night bids for cameras at the police department. So at this time, I would like to make a motion that we accept a bid from SMC for cameras at the police department in the amount of $26,916.77.
A second.
Have a motion and a second to accept a bid from SMC for cameras. How many cameras did they get? No
Gosh,
idea.
Michael, is 23? 20? 21.
21, okay. 21 cameras. The amount of $26,916.77. Any discussion? Mr. Snow?
So we did receive 2 bids on this, and we did not accept the lower of the 2 bids. This bid includes backup of the video and things like that. The other bid did not include that, and it was an annual subscription service that we would have to continually pay for that bid. And so we decided to move forward with this bid on the recommendation of Michael. And this bid is under the budgeted amount that we had budgeted for this project.
All right, good deal. All right, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Our next meeting is not on our regular date and time, but it will be on May 22nd at 5:30. Again, that's when we will be perfecting the budget. We will be either forwarding or amending our contracts with the city, and we will also be hearing the Carthage Water and Electric budget. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Committee on Insurance Audit and Claims, Chairperson Kasi.
Yes, thank you. The Committee on Insurance Audit and Claims met this evening at 5:30 in council chambers. We approved the claims report, which we'll discuss later. Sorry, it's on the agenda. We discussed the ethics policy change and the social media policy change. Those items were tabled until such time as we have legal counsel for the city again. And then we also considered under new business a council bill for financial software upgrades. And we did pass that and forwarded that on to council tonight.
All righty, thank you. Public Safety Committee, Chairperson Heckmaster.
We are in between meetings. Our next meeting will be next Monday at 5:30 in this chamber.
All right, thank you. Public Services Committee, Chairman Edge.
We are in between meetings currently. Our next meeting is next Tuesday at 5:30 here in council chambers.
All right, thank you. Public Works, Chairman Taylor.
We didn't have a meeting the first of this month. There was nothing that, no business to take care of.
Okay.
And we will have our next meeting will be the first Monday of June. First Tuesday of June, sorry.
All right. All right, we'll move on to a report of special committees and board liaisons.
Mr. Mayor, I was just curious, as was mentioned at our Friday meeting, would now be an appropriate time to move the council accept the mayor's board appointments since that, or does it need to be on the agenda?
It would need to be on the agenda.
Understood.
Yep.
Understood.
Yep.
Well, with that said, I just note in the interim, until we're able to get that done, the Kellogg Lake Board did meet on May 9th last week in the SMB Community Room. The big topic of discussion coming up here and all the prep is being done for Kids Fishing Day. That's June 8th from 8 to noon. Numerous volunteers have signed up, which is really great that board has a really well-oiled machine with respect to Kids Fishing Day, and I'd welcome everyone to come. I will certainly be going and looking forward to that. Otherwise, nothing further, Your Honor. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, move on to Mayor's report. Not a lot to report, just a lot going on. The last week obviously has been dealing with cleanup and recovery from the storm. That is going to continue for some time to come. I've lived here my entire life. I've never seen this many trees, this much damage. So it's going to be a process. Can't say enough about every one of the city staff. Not only, getting the power back on as quick as they did, but getting out and getting the streets passable again and helping with, I mean, it's just been amazing. So there's not enough good things that could be said. But it will continue. And other than that, continuing, the other ongoing thing is the budget. And again, it's been running much smoother than usual, and it's the process is improved and much better than it has been. So thank everyone for that, all the department heads and everybody that's been pushing to get that taken care of. Other than that, we'll move on to reporter remarks from council members. We always start over here. Let's start over here. Ms. Schramm, anything?
Oh, I have a lot, but tonight I'm gonna let it ride.
All right. Ms. Cossey.
Yes, thank you. I did have a question. Someone had mentioned to me that the state had declared some emergency funds after the tornado. Is that something that we're aware of as a city and working on?
I know. They've been waiting on the governor to declare a state of emergency for our county. I think they've probably done funds. I don't know whether it's been in our county or not, but yeah, they've been on the phone constantly with the emergency management director and the SEMA and FEMA and everybody. So they've been in pretty constant contact since it happened. So
okay.
I'm sure if there were funds available for Jasper County and for Carthage, we're working on it.
Okay, and do you know who is normally in charge of that? I just don't know the process, so I'm just trying to... The fire chief is the emergency management director for the city, and he deals with all of those situations as they come up. Okay, thank you. And I think that's all I have this evening, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Barlow.
Nothing, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Snow.
So I realized after I made my budget report earlier, I forgot to thank my committee for the time last night. Mr. Dagnan, Ms. Cox were here also. Dorothy was here. I know Mr. Schramm was here. We were here till after 9:30, so it was a 4-hour meeting last night. And normally we stretch that out, or in the past we have stretched that out over 2 or 3 nights. Last night we did it all at once, and it was a haul. I only allowed 1 break, and so yeah, it was a rough meeting. So I just wanted to thank everyone that helped last night. Again, the budget was in the ClearGov software that we're doing the budget in is much better this year than it has been in the past, and was a big improvement. And to be able to see the actual numbers that we talked about last night, we had some pretty big numbers. So that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Edge?
I'd like to thank all the department heads and departments overall for their work efforts to clean up after the storm damage. Great response times, and appreciate everybody's work at this point. That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Heckmaster?
I'd like to thank everyone who spoke tonight, all the citizens. I would particularly like to thank Regina Schenk for her lovely words. I'd also would ask that whenever we get to department heads conversations, that Abby would tell us how we can pull the fishing day together for these kids that are counting on it. That's all, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Leith?
After I watched the meeting on Friday, I mean, I had a whole thing typed that I wanted to say, but after hearing Regina, what she had to say in the beginning, so many things are so unimportant compared to what we think. Sometimes, and I'll tell you, I want to thank you all for checking on my husband this week while I've been gone to Mayo with him. He's still there. I'm headed back after our meeting this evening. I'll spend the night at my folks, and then I'm heading right back. He didn't have any tests today, and so I thought, you know, it's important that I be here and share with you all how I feel. And what's been impressed on me, it was neat what Regina had to say, but that's what I was thinking of too, is love. And I want to show love. So I've been praying for each and every one of not just our council members, but for our city, for our people, because it warmed my heart, Alan, to hear how your budget meeting went and how you all worked together. That work warmed my heart. And the only thing that I was thinking that one of the things I had put down is all I've asked for is proof of why we're trying to get rid of the people we're trying to get rid of, and nobody will tell me. Nobody. I've asked more than one. I've had some of my family members say, oh, it's all because of Dagnan. Everything problem is because of Dagnan. But you know, I asked him, who told you this? What's the problem? What's the proof? And he couldn't tell me. He didn't know. He had just listened to what someone else had told him. And so be cautious on what we're saying and what we're doing. And on both sides, we need to all treat each other with respect. I came into this with no sides. I came into this probably a little bit naive, thinking that I could come in and be a part of something great, because some of the council members had reached out to me prior and told me they were excited to be a part of this with me, and they were excited to meet me and so on. And I came in excited and couldn't wait till we could work together. We're not going to agree on everything, obviously, because that's just the way things work, but that's what makes us better. That's what makes us grow and listen to each other and learn. And that's what we need to do as a community. It's going to take some time for our community to heal, no matter what happens. And then just because I'm nice, or maybe even came in naive, I'm not an idiot, like someone told my husband. As he was leaving a meeting, she didn't know that he was my husband. I'm not an idiot. I'm a smart lady who loves this town, loves it enough to leave my husband in Minnesota, get back here, and head back tomorrow, because I believe in what all of us can do, all of us. Because I believe in us, I believe in this community, I believe in this town. And when I get off work next week, I won't be back this weekend, but when I get off work next week, I will go out to Kellogg's Lake, I will pick up limbs, I will help get things ready, and I hope that some of you will come out and join me, because I think that's important too. But I just want people to know that we need to respect each other in all ways, and not just because of self-serving things. And the thing I was thinking was how we would act, how would we deal with our children if they were acting like this in school or in other areas of their life. It wouldn't be good. And Mr. Mayor, I apologize on behalf, I can't speak for other council members, but I apologize on behalf for the disrespect you've been shown. And I want you to know that I will respect you while you're in this office. And I will respect any of you that would be in this office next. I will respect you. I may not always agree with you, but I will respect that seat. I will respect the people. People accuse me of coming in with a side. No, I didn't. I didn't come in with a side. I came in with a heart that wanted to see this town get better. Not a heart to destroy, not a heart to cause division. And that's where I still stand, and I still believe in miracles. And Regina said something about in her scriptures, and I still believe in miracles. Naive may it be, but I'm happy to live in my naive world. But I believe in a miracle, and I believe that all of this group sitting right here, we could all pull this together, stop the bickering, and work together and move forward as a city. That's all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Lee.
Mr. Peters.
Yeah, I would just reiterate a little bit of what Ms. Booyer said regarding Kellogg Lake and Kids Fishing Day and Ms. Heckmaster. Just simple fact that there is cleanup work to be done there, and I hope and I can do what I can and our city can to make sure June 8th is still a viable date. But other than that, nothing further. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Taylor.
I was witness this last week to one of the most unselfish acts of kindness I have seen in my nigh on to 62 years. I had a constituent in Ward 1 who had been without electricity since the storm. Happened to be my neighbor. Never said anything to me. I'm out mowing the yard and I'm noticing, wait, there's not a power line on her house. And I said, well, what happened? Oh, the neighbor's tree fell down and ripped it off the side of her house. Well, the people that own that lot, there's nobody living in it. They're redoing the house right now. And I said, well, have you called anybody? Well, they'd called 2 or 3 electricians, and we'll get there when we can. You know, she told them that she only had a certain amount of money to get it fixed. They're on fixed income. So I thought, well, I don't know what to do. So I called some people in the Public Works Department, and I asked them, I said, do you guys know of anybody that can come look, because this was on a Sunday. Can I look at this lady and just tell her whether, what it's gonna cost, because she had a couple of them, was telling her that they needed a special surge box or whatever, and it's gonna be $2,500. Well, I'm not on a fixed income like she is, but I couldn't afford $2,500. And I said, that's gotta be the craziest thing I ever heard. Well, I want to give a shout out to CWEP. Obviously, they've got a fellow that works for them whose name is Elvis. Okay? I can't make this up, all right? The guy that I got a hold of, his name is George Steiner. Used to be a CWEP employee. And now he does some of the most amazing things you've ever seen. He has a ministry where he comes and does construction work, electrical work, and stuff for people that are on fixed incomes that have a limited amount of money, and what he charges is ridiculously cheap. I mean, he might as well give his services away. But he came and called, and he knew exactly who to call at CWEP. I heard him talking to the guy named Elvis. Within an hour of him being there, He had C-Whip bucket truck there, had her fixed, and she had electricity. You know what he charged her? $100. I want to shout out to that man. I appreciate them guys from C-Whip more than they even will know. Because anytime I've ever had a problem, or anybody around me has had a problem, as soon as they could get there, they got there and they fixed the problem. Also, I want to give a shout out to the street guys, because they came and they're still picking up tree limbs, people, on the street. Because they got some in front of my house and my neighbor's houses all up and down my street. So they're doing this on their way back to the shop. They're hitting what they can hit. And it's greatly appreciated by me and citizens of this town.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to administrative reports. I don't know how you guys are gonna follow that. Chief Hawkins, anything?
Well, you're right, that would be extremely difficult to follow, but I would like to probably just one thing to say. Alan, as you pointed out, most everybody was at the meeting last night, the budget meeting, to include most department heads. And from my perspective, I thought the meeting went extremely well. I would like to say thanks that I've been fighting with this car situation for quite a while now due to insurance. It was a great big hassle, and I'm glad that that situation is finally resolved, and I thought the meeting went well. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Martin, anything from your end?
Yes, I've got some notes here from Chief Huntley. I guess everybody probably knows we had the National Weather Service said it was an EF1 tornado touchdown near Dino. It was about 100 yards wide, traveled a couple of miles, lifted just around the park area. But in doing so, it spun off some straight line lanes in town. We've had, I think we counted seven houses that had major catastrophic damage. And to Ms. Cossey, we did submit paperwork to the Region D coordinator in Springfield, so that we had to have that in on the timeline last week to get, whenever they open up federal funds or state funds, there's a window, and the window started like March 25th, I believe, and goes for 30 days. So we're inside the window, but there has to be X amount of dollars. So we try to get an accurate, we spent 2 or 3 days trying to get an accurate assessment of the damage and the dollar amounts so that we could be included in that. I don't think it's 100% money back, but it's a portion which would help a lot with cleanup efforts. We also had a couple of volunteer groups from outside the area that contacted us, and we did a lot of legwork for them, getting addresses that needed help. And then Friday they pulled the pin and said they were going somewhere else, so we had to go back and talk to a lot of people and tell them, you know, we might have another group coming, we might not. We may have somebody that shows up tomorrow who's contacted us to assist with cleanup. And we still have a list of probably about 40 homes that need cleanup. They just can't do it. We'll give you more. Check our city website. It's got information on the cleanup. The city's doing a great job. The street guys are fantastic about picking up. If you follow the rules, don't put it on the sidewalk, put it on the and don't put it on the street. So that's all.
All right, thank you. Ms. Almendinger.
Thank you, Your Honor. As most of you know, Municipal Park and Central Park were very severely damaged. Our golf course also sustained approximately 100 trees. These are full-size trees that were uprooted. And then Kellogg Lake Park did sustain some minor damage comparatively. Our parks maintenance staff spent the first day assisting the street department to get the roads cleared. We did have a department head meeting that first morning and made that decision collectively. We were also fortunate to receive help from a private construction company, and a nonprofit helped organize some volunteers in Central Park later that afternoon, and I believe the next day. There were several golf course patrons that assisted our golf pro and our golf maintenance supervisor before we had some waivers in place and things like that. We did have several groups, as Mr. Martin suggested, that they did volunteer to provide aid initially. And we told all of them that our first priority was to get our residents up and running. So our parks, we wanted to, obviously we do want to fix the parks. We care about them very much, but our first primary concern is to our residents and make sure everyone had power, which CWIP was doing an amazing job that way, but we wanted to assist those people to get the trees off of their homes if that was still an issue. In the initial couple of days after the tornado, I did tell Ms. Booyer that we may have to consider postponing or canceling Kids Fishing Day. That was mid last week. And then after I assessed the damage and knew with more than 3 weeks, I think we're sitting at 25 days before this event, that would be no problem. Our maintenance staff cleared the roads finally this morning at Kellogg Lake Park, and we opened up the park. Most of the park, the river is still shut down. It's very dangerous to go down there, so please do not try to do that. Let's see, I did speak to a member from Christian Aid, who is the person that Ms. Booyer is referencing. He told me that they actually don't really help on public property, on municipalities, that their goal is to help residents. And in working with the fire department, we knew that we still had a list of, like Mr. Martin is saying, about 40 people that still needed help. So I told him that yes, our first priority was to the residents, and that our parks would take a back seat if we did have other assistance there, that our golf course is losing money daily, revenue daily. So those were our first two priorities. And again, I knew our parks maintenance staff could handle what was happening at Kellogg Lake. Basically, between the fire department, the tourism with Miss Kirby, and also our recreations coordinator at Memorial Hall, we've been coordinating and organizing since the day of the tornado. And we've had lots of promises of aid and help from large groups, and they've just fallen through. So sometimes we'll get a phone call that they're coming. We thought that was going to happen last Saturday. That did not happen. We again thought that somebody was going to come today. That also did not happen. So it's very fluctuating. So I don't have a lot of concrete information to pass on to Ms. Booyer, which is why I didn't get back with her with a certain answer, because I didn't have a certain answer. When I explained that our residents were the most important, that's what the gentleman told me that he wanted to focus on. We did get some waivers in place, so we would love to have volunteers. We very much appreciate if you would sign a waiver. And as we've had many events happening, we have a lot of events happening in Central Park and in Municipal Park for end of the year, school festivities, lots of birthday parties, graduation parties, that type of thing. We've accommodated all of them to this point. We've shifted some to different parks. We've gotten other areas in the park open so they could still be at the shelter that they had initially wanted. My parks maintenance staff has worked tirelessly over the last week, so I feel quite confident that we can accommodate Kids Fishing Day, but I do need some patience, because Kellogg Lake is not necessarily the most, the place that is the highest crisis. So we are focusing on those areas. Of course, we want our residents to have their homes secure so that they're not leaking as well. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Dagnan.
Thank you, Your Honor. A couple updates. The HR coordinator and myself looked at the city attorney applications today and vetted them. We had 3 proposals from law firms, and we have 2 individual applications. After vetting them to match up with the RFP, we spoke to the mayor. The mayor formed a committee. Some of you got an email today asking you to serve on that committee. And so we are ready. As soon as that committee is ready to meet, we are ready to meet with them ASAP and start looking for a new city attorney, be that a firm or one of the individuals that applied. That'll be up to the committee. The only other thing I want to say is there is a lot of thanks going out for the budget, and I don't think a lot of people understand that when department heads present numbers for a budget, those numbers probably came from within their department somewhere. And so the budget is one thing, almost all city staff is involved, all administration's involved, the mayor's involved, the budget committee's involved, and you all get involved. So it's the one thing that almost everybody in the city has to be involved in. It's very important. It's a lot of work, but so far a lot of thanks goes out. It's going very well so far. And so I just wanted to say thank you, and that's all I have tonight. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Move on to report of claims against the city.
The Committee on Claims filed a report in the amount of $801,734.40.
I'd like to motion that we approve the claims.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the report and allow the claims. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, we'll move on to old business.
The second reading of Council Bill 24-23, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Neutron Holdings Incorporated, DBA Lime, a Delaware corporation, for scooter rental in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion?
I do want to chime in on a couple things. Abby and I had some email correspondence back and forth, and she got me information based upon some citizens' requests. Ultimately, someone had an issue last year with basically an accident where a juvenile was on a scooter, ran into their car. Didn't cause any damage, luckily, but really the question at that point was who's liable for the damage. And based upon Abby's response, it is the renter who would be liable. Even though they were a juvenile, they needed that, Abby, I may need your help for just a second, the parental authorization. Keep me honest there.
So every person who gets on a scooter signs a waiver before they get on the scooter. They do that through the Lime app, I believe is the way it works. So before they can unlock the scooter, they do have to sign a waiver. So it's just like if you were to rent, a car from Hertz. I mean, if you have an accident, you're responsible. So in that case, Dustin, I don't remember. I mean, if you're a minor, then the parent would be responsible. So.
Thank you.
Anything further?
I just have a quick question. It's been, I don't know, a week or two ago, time goes by fast. I had sent a request for information, and I think you were gonna follow up with Lime regarding like the number of people that we had that were in the lower income brackets that were using the scooters. I know there was some discussion that scooters were used by people who had lesser means as transportation, and there were several pieces of information that you were going to request. Did you ever hear back from Lime on this?
I did reach out to our Lime representative, and he said that he would have to get clearance from their corporate headquarters to provide that information, and he did not provide that to me.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anything else? Mr. Snow?
So, Abby, originally Lime was gonna have a local organization pick up the scooters and do those types of things. Have they resolved that yet, or is it still the group out of Tulsa?
So it is local people. They are subcontracted. The warehouse is out of Tulsa. So if there is an issue with the scooter, they get taken. If it gets broken or gets damaged in some way, they pick them up and they do take them to a warehouse in Tulsa. But the people that will be collecting the scooters are local people. But all of our connectivity is through Lime. So we let Lime know if there's an issue, and then they send they deploy the people. So those people have an agreement with Lime, and we have an agreement with Lime.
Okay, so they do have local people that
Yes, sir.
if someone has a scooter in their yard, or if there's a scooter in the street, that will go pick that up. Local people, not the people from Tulsa.
That's correct. And the average is about 2 hours is what I've been told with this process that they've been using. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, anything further? Cast your votes.
joining the meeting to see if that,
You may have to go, so did you have to go out and then go back?
mine didn't pop up.
Mine didn't either.
You might have to
All right, let's do
rush
this
it, I
again.
guess, maybe. You're all canceled.
I'm in the meeting, but
Yeah, everyone's in there, it's just that they've been sitting there for a long time, so it might have, needed refreshed.
okay. I'm stupid. Where's the refresh button on this thing?
If you pull it down, it's supposed to be back around the screen. There we go.
Okay.
See, normally
Yeah, I'm
Bob
not getting
said
it either, though.
No, I don't have it either.
Now, okay, I'll just cancel the vote and refresh now that everyone's kind of redundant.
Got it.
Now we
There
go.
we go.
Right.
Thank you, Miss Miranda.
Council bill passes.
So, the next item on old business is discuss law firm options for opinion on city administrator removal. This was tabled, I believe, at April 23rd's meeting to this meeting.
I would like to make a motion that since we currently do not have legal counsel to assist us and we seem to be in disagreement on how we're moving forward, I would like to make a motion that we table this indefinitely until called back up by the council.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second to table item number 2 indefinitely or until called back up by the council. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll move on to new business.
The first reading of Council Bill 24-25, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Tyler Technologies Incorporated to provide an annual subscription for financial software for the city of Carthage, Missouri.
All right, any discussion or comments? Okay.
Hold on, I'm loading. Let's go.
Okay, so it's flashing. Current item top. Does that mean that's what?
The first reading of Council Bill 24-26, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Kevin Harrison, DBA Kevin Harrison Masonry, for signage in the parks in the amount up to $11,915.21 per sign for a total of 7 signs in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion? Mr. Snow?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this in next year's budget? So we can't sign a contract until that budget is approved. Is that not correct?
Well, I'm gonna let Abby talk, but this went through committee. It is in this year's budget, I'm pretty sure, but she has all the details.
It is, Mr. Snow. We had, it was allocated in this actual current year's budget, and then our previous committee, Public Services Committee, prior to the new council coming in, approved that. We just had a little bit of a delay in the contract, and so that's why you're seeing it tonight.
Are you thinking about something that was in the budget?
Well, I think it's in, I think there was a line item in last night's budget.
It should be a carryover because we have done some engineering expenses on it currently, so it's probably just a remainder of what we have left in that project line item.
Right here, line item, it's in the 1654521.800, $98,230.
Right,
Next year's budget.
We moved all of the existing use tax projects that were in this current year into that account, or into the next year, just with a reduction of what we spent currently, in case we didn't get the project done by the end of June. So you'll see the dog park in there, you'll see the roundabout landscaping in there, you'll see this one, you'll see the Rock Stadium use tax, all of those are in those line items there, in case those projects don't get completed before the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
All righty, anything else? All right, move on to resolution.
Resolution 2041, a resolution authorizing a supplemental budget adjustment to the general revenue fund for fiscal year 2023-2024.
Mr. Snow,
I'd make a motion that we adopt resolution 2041.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2041. Any discussion? Cast your votes, please.
Yes. Your Honor, Mr. Edge just asked, so once we adopt this budget resolution, this budget amendment, it will go into this year's budget, so Chief will be able to buy that car or get the car on order, I'm assuming, since
Exactly, yep.
police cars, you can't just walk down to the dealership and get them. So that will go into effect. This adjustment will go in, he can get the car under contract
Yes, sir.
immediately.
Yep.
So I just wanted to clarify that, thank
Yep,
you.
you betcha. All righty, anything further? Cast your votes.
Did yours not come? You a yay or?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
All right, resolution stands adopted. That takes us to the end of the agenda for the evening. Closing comments, Ms. Heckmaster, anything?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Edge,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Mr. Snow.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to congratulate Ms. Almendinger for her son graduating. Mr. Carney's daughter graduated last Thursday night, and I believe Chief Huntley, did he have a son graduate also last Thursday night? So I'd like to congratulate all those seniors and all the seniors at Carthage High School on completing their years in high school and hopefully becoming productive citizens. That's all, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Barlow.
No, sir.
All right, Ms. Cossey,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Ms. Shrimp. Mr. Taylor,
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Peterson,
Nothing here. Thanks, Your Honor.
Ms. Lees.
I'm good, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion
maybe?
to adjourn.
There you go.
Second.
A nice.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.